Now, before we start this video, for the Cleveland fans watching this, I am so sorry. Let's take a moment of silence for the Cleveland Indians fans. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about it. Francisco Lindor is going to be a New York Met, along with Carlos Carrasco. So let's talk about this trade a little bit. Now, before we do get into the video and talk about the details of this trade, if you want to talk more about baseball, join my Discord, follow me on Twitch. I'll be live streaming tonight, and we can talk a little bit more about this trade and more deals going on in the offseason and trade rumors. All that's going to be in my Discord in the description here, as well as following me on Twitter and Instagram. All that'll be in the description. So click the links if you want to support the channel. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more MLB content. Let's get into the trade. All right, so I'm reading this straight from Ken Rosenthal on Twitter. The full trade is Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco heading over to the Mets from the Indians in exchange for Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez, Josh Wolf, and Isaiah Greene. So let's talk a little bit about what this means for each of the teams and break down who we think won this trade. Now, the biggest trade chip in this deal that just went down, obviously, is Francisco Lindor. He's the headliner of this trade. One of the best young baseball players in all of baseball. He's only 27 years old, and he has a career OPS of 833, and a career OPS plus of 117. 100 is league average, slugging over 480. Just a really solid ball player to have in the middle of your lineup. The last 362 game seasons he's played in, he has hit over 30 home runs. 1 year he hit 38, so close to 40. So the power numbers are there, the defense is there, the speed is there. He's basically a five-tool player over there at shortstop and an absolute goon who's going to be amazing for the Mets in the next few years. Now, the Mets, all the speculation is pointing to the Mets signing Francisco Lindor to a long-term deal down the line, or else they wouldn't have made a trade like this with 1 year left on his rookie contract. So they're going to have to see next year. Maybe they can work out a big extension, kind of like the Mookie Betts one. Now, I really like this trade, or this acquisition for the Mets. They have absolutely one of the most insane lineups in all of baseball. We'll get into that more in just a second, but first let's talk about Carlos Carrasco. Now, Carlos Carrasco is joining Francisco Lindor over in New York. Absolutely amazing. What an inspirational guy. I love Carlos Carrasco. I think everybody does. To be an elite pitcher and then be diagnosed with cancer and battle back and come back and pitch in the major leagues is something anybody should be extremely proud of. Just an all-around great guy. But statistically speaking, let's dive into his stats here. So his last 2 seasons before he had to go his last 3 seasons before he had to go into treatment and before 2020 and all that craziness, he had over 220 strikeouts in each of those 2 seasons, with 231 in 2018, which was his last full sample size season. 2019, obviously, he was undergoing treatment for most of that year, but when he came back, he wasn't amazing, but who's not going to give him credit for what he did, just battling back and coming back. 2020, he did have a pretty decent year. He had in 80 innings pitched, he had 96 strikeouts, which is really good for him. Also with an ERA under 3 in those 80 innings pitched. So definitely a good piece for the Mets to acquire along with it. Their rotation is going to be ridiculous next year. Jacob deGrom, who I think is the best pitcher in all of baseball. Noah Syndergaard is expected to be back in June, so hopefully he comes back and is firing on all cylinders like he used to be. Carlos Carrasco will probably sneak into that 3 or 4 spot there. Just an absolutely nasty rotation for the Mets, and they're going to have an insane lineup to go with it. Now listen to this rotation and lineup combo the Mets are going to have going for them this year. This is without signing anybody else. They obviously are favorites to sign George Springer. They're still in the talks with Trevor Bauer. But as it stands right now, Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, Dom Smith, Pete Alonso, Michael Conforto, James McCann, J.D. Davis, and of course Brandon Nimmo. Then we go over into the rotation. Jacob deGrom, the best pitcher in all of baseball. Noah Syndergaard when he comes back in June. You have Carlos Carrasco being an absolute stud like he was last year. Marcus Stroman, who was out last year. I think he opted out because of COVID, but stud pitcher. And then the last option's kind of up for grabs. They have Steven Matz, of course. Maybe if they sign another pitcher, could go in there. Especially if they sign another pitcher, this is absolutely one of the best lineups in all of baseball. They're trying to compete with the Padres right now with the kind of moves that they are making. Uncle Steve is absolutely going crazy over there in New York, and I don't think he's even started yet. So if you're a Mets fan right now, you have every right to be super excited, go crazy. It's going to be an absolutely insane year for you guys. And for the future, like, you're probably going to sign Lindor to a long-term deal, and it's going to be a very exciting time to be a Mets fan for the next few years, or however long Stephen Cohen's around making these kind of moves. Now let's talk about the guys heading over to Cleveland. Of course, we have Ahmed Rosario, who's the most major league experience out of the group. Andres Jimenez, a top prospect who seemed really good so far, so we'll have to see about him. Josh Wolf and Isaiah Greene, who are both not in the majors yet, but we'll have to see. Now, Ahmed Rosario is kind of, I feel like the best word to describe him is meh. He's okay. He has 2 seasons under his belt where he's played over 150 games. In those 2 seasons, plus 2020, he's averaged a career OPS of 705, which, you know, isn't terrible. It isn't amazing. Career OPS plus of 91, which in 2019 was over 100, which is exactly league average. A career 268 batting average. A career 302 on base percentage, both very average stats. And he's never had a year with more than 15 home runs, so average in the power department as well. There's really nothing crazy that stands out about him. You know, just a decent, he's a Major League Baseball player, we'll give him that. He's about as pedestrian as it comes when it comes to shortstop, though. Now, Andres Jimenez was formerly the Mets' top prospect, even ranked over guys like Pete Alonso in their farm system. So obviously he's not Francisco Lindor, but he is heading over to the Mets, or heading over to the Indians rather, and he has a lot of potential, that's for sure. In 2020, he didn't have that many games. He played in 49 of the team's 60 games, of course. Put up pretty pedestrian numbers, but he's a rookie, you never really know. He batted 263 with a 333 OBP, 398 slugging, 732 OPS, so a little bit better than Rosario's, and an OPS plus of 102, so he's slightly above league average, is basically what that stat reads. So, you know, Andres Jimenez has a lot of potential. He could be a breakout star. I don't think he's going to be anything close to Francisco Lindor production, but, you know, he could be a little bit better than Ahmed Rosario, at least. Now, the other 2 guys thrown into this trade are Josh Wolf and Isaiah Greene, who are the 9th and 10th ranked prospects in the Mets organization. Now, neither one of them is expected to be in the major leagues until around 2023 or 2024, so they definitely have a lot of development to go from. But Isaiah Greene was the 69th overall pick in last year's draft. So if they do develop into some good prospects, I know Josh Wolf is a pitcher, and the Indians are really known for developing their pitching talent. So who knows, Josh Wolf could turn into a Carlos Carrasco replacement a few years down the line. But for the time being, obviously, this is going to hurt the Indians short term, but in the long term, you never know. It could pay off. Now, that is going to do it for us today in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy the video, leave a comment why you didn't enjoy it. And if you want to see more of this kind of MLB content, please subscribe. I'll be going over any big new trades that are coming out. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. Y'all have a great rest of your night.